Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Keilani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. I'm Keilani, this is James, and this is Delightfully Dysfunctional.
Hi.
Hello.
So I was just telling Keilani about my crazy morning, how that camera I thought was at my office. So I pulled up into the driveway here at the studio, and I was like, oh, I forgot the camera. Drove to my office and realized it was not there, that it was here, and then came back. So we're a little...
Well, and then you said that, because I have an iPhone and you have Android, that our messages go to your MacBook,
Mm-hmm.
not your phone. So
Yeah.
then, like, I don't know. And you didn't know if we were messaging or what was going on. And luckily, honestly, we were just having more of a chill, relaxed morning.
I was like in desperation, chaos.
He's hustling all over town.
And Keilani and Zach are just like, hey, let's have a little
Want a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Cheers.
James will be here when he gets here. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So everything's fine.
Yeah. Deep breath. You made it. You survived your morning.
I did.
Yes. Let's see. Things to catch up on. Little Albie is doing better. My
Good.
little doggy. So that's good. He's moving around and that feels better. He enjoyed being an office pup. And I'd like to think that my clients liked it too.
Yeah. Now, if you bring like a big dog that's all aggressive, that would probably be uncomfortable for clients.
They'd need therapy from visiting my scary dog. No. And Albie is not a trained therapy dog at all. So he kind of just wants to snuggle with me. But I would love a therapy dog. That is my goal. But you have to go through like all of the doggy courses and training.
Okay.
Like canine good citizen doggy training.
Can I be a therapy dog and cuddle with all your clients?
That'd be super creepy. That's also kind of funny to picture you as a therapy dog.
That's
in personality.
That's a video. We're gonna do that.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Yeah, I feel like you would have the personality of a therapy dog. Maybe I don't know. You're a bit hyperactive.
Yeah, I know, but I could relax for a cuddle.
If you were a dog, what breed of dog would you be?
Probably.
I have a thought. I have one in my mind.
I'd be like kind of like a dopey dog, like Doug from Up, whatever he is.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Like Doug. I was totally thinking lab, like high energy.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I also bark. I'm a human that barks. See? So.
Yeah, see? So you kind of part dog already.
Yeah.
No. Okay, now if I were a dog, what dog would I be?
You would be like, what's the one from Frasier?
What? The one with the crazy hair?
No.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, no.
The Jack Russell Terrier.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I was not thinking of the right dog.
Because
That
they're
is
like
a
the
cute
smartest
dog.
one.
Oh, that's nice. I think I always identify with my dog. So I'm like, I'd be Albie. I'd be a little wiener dog.
No, I couldn't see that.
No, more Jack Russell.
Speaking of dogs, have you guys watched Bluey yet?
Yeah, Bluey
Do
is
you love that show?
adorable.
It's amazing.
Does it inspire dad activities?
Yes.
Actually,
Actually, we were watching one the other day, and the kids are playing What Time Is It, Mr. Wolf? Do you know that one? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do that with my kids. But yeah, all of my kids, all four of them, they each love it. They're all different age groups, but they sit there, and it's almost like they're like gleaning the dad, like the good dadness that I kind of failed
it's like
at, you know?
wholesome.
Yeah.
You feel like you failed at good dadness?
Well, I like gave them trauma, you know, so then they feel like guarded with me. So then like when Bandit, Bluey's dad, is just like fun and loving, that's the type of dad that I was with them, you know, but then I think that they have like that hole in their heart where like seeing that and, you know.
Do you feel like I get that is your perspective of it. We're going to have a little therapy
session. Maybe I'm projecting that, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that projection or perspective that you're holding is a wall that you have up to not be Bluey Dad? Because are you Bluey Dad now? Could you embody Bluey Dad more?
That's such a good point. Yeah, I think that's accurate. Because I am like really guarded to like have that vulnerability with my kids, because like I'm just so afraid of them like not reciprocating or them just rejecting me, you know. But I know that every time I do like lean into being Bluey Dad, then they love it, you know. So yeah, maybe it's just I'm in my own head.
Kids crave connection with their parents.
Yeah.
And I think that, when you can show up and be that for them, just to be in that playful world and show that you're enjoying it, not be distracted, not just be on your electronics.
Yeah.
It's impactful.
For sure. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I just need to be more intentional.
Okay,
less afraid.
Your homework this week is to be Bluey Dad.
Okay.
Bandit. Is that
Bandit,
his name?
yep,
Bandit. Be Bandit.
Be Bandit. Okay.
Channel Bandit.
I will. He's like the best dad ever. And
Goals, right?
But they're so like realistic. Like he'll still like they'll show where he hurts their feelings, but then he like owns it and apologizes. And I'm just like,
right.
Oh, Bandit, I love you. Yeah, it's adorable. So, anywho, we're talking about depression today.
Woohoo! I know that it is, I feel like it's hard to make depression like, ooh, what's a captivating way.
I'm so excited about depression.
Woo! But these are really important pieces to break down. I think that these are common stigmas and misunderstandings about depression that some of our listeners may have even had that perspective at one time. Maybe this will be enlightening in some way, or most likely there's someone in your life who has felt this way and it's probably been incredibly frustrating. So we want to help you feel heard and seen if that's the way that you're feeling. So one example of that is the thought that depression is just all in your head, just mind over matter. Yeah. Choose to do something different. Like, why are you feeling that way?
Okay, so at face value, I'm sitting here thinking like, I guess I agree with that.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay, so I know that it's chemistry that's happening. But I've experienced overcoming depression through taking opposite actions. So then, in a way, it's like kind of true. Are your dogs barking again?
Yeah, but I guess that is just life.
We'll just let it go.
I'm just letting it go. Yeah. I think that certainly moving through the motions and taking action steps is a big piece of depression. But like we had talked about in our previous episode, there can be a combination of things, from a disruption in what's happening with your neurotransmitters to genetics to hormonal changes or to having actually like a brain injury. So I think that is a helpful piece, but it's not helpful when there were things that you did to get help. You did seek professional help.
Yeah.
Or you did like find community and that helped. So to say that it is just a switch that you flip, you know, there were certain pieces that still needed to come together for you to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, and I knew that when I said, I kind of agree with that. I knew that I was wrong, and I was just waiting for you to kind of explain.
You trying to put the bait out there?
I'm trying to tee you up. No,
feel manipulated. No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, I mean, I'm still learning a lot, obviously, and one thing that I kind of like, not diagnosed myself, but I realized was that my depression is like more circumstantial versus because I know that some people have like clinical depression, right? Where it's where I mean, but is there ever a situation where somebody has like depression that they just can never overcome?
Yeah, there are people who have depression for their whole life. And dysthymia is kind of a low-level depression, so it's not major depressive, but it's kind of constantly running at a lower functioning, always feeling a bit of that dullness. So that is something that people experience. Now, I'm not sure. We'd have to really look at do a full study and kind of understand like, well, what things are they already doing for self-care? Like, what are the factors there? What's going on with genetics? But there are a lot of things that we do need to consider when it comes to depression and how to heal from that. And it's not going to be the same for each person. So I guess part of it's all in your head and some of your personal experience that you shared too, is that remember that that's your story. That's not everyone's story and everyone's experience. And it's still valid, but that there is evidence of people struggling far more and having fewer resources being a factor of that.
Yeah.
And then what do you do if poverty and, you know, what you've been taught and seen in your home and trauma and all these things pile up? How do you think your way out of some of that?
I mean, you just got to get a good counselor, right?
Let's hope they do.
Yeah.
So depression is just feeling sad. That's another stigma. What do you think about that?
I know it goes way beyond that. I mean, just, isn't it, when you experience the feeling of depression, isn't it like you're getting a heavy dose of cortisol?
That's a part of anxiety and depression. That's one of the pieces. There's a lot of other things happening, but depression, like we had talked about last week, it's like loss of interest and pleasure in doing things, and something where it's happening most of the days in a 2-week period, in the last 2 weeks. And for most people, even longer than that, by the time they really start paying attention to it being a problem. So another stigma is that depression is just feeling sad. And feeling sad is like a momentary feeling. Depression is going to be something that lasts for 2 weeks and for most likely longer than that before someone really starts paying attention. It's a range of different sensations that sometimes are even physical when it comes to sleep, or when it comes to having like more headaches or body aches, to also not being able to have as much enjoyment in the activities that you once did, withdrawing. So sad and depression are different. It's an emotion versus something that is becoming an issue that needs medical attention or is affecting someone's quality of life. Depression is a sign of weakness. So some people believe that experiencing depression is a lack of resilience, and anyone can get depressed.
Yeah.
It's not a character flaw. And I would say that most likely at some point in someone's life, they will experience a form of depression, whether that's post-breakup, like we've talked about sometimes, or after the grief of a loved one. But it is not a sign of weakness. And what are your thoughts on that one?
Say it again.
Depression is a sign of weakness.
Depression in a lot of ways is like a feeling of weakness. But I don't know, but it's not. No, it's more like a symptom of just being overwhelmed. And yeah, like you said, everyone will probably experience depression in some degree. But like my own personal experience of depression, I wouldn't have said that it was because I was weak. I would say it was because I was being like bombarded. And so but then coming out of it gave me like a newfound resilience. So it's like an ultimate like stress training, you know, if you look at the full picture. But no, definitely not a sign of weakness. But I mean, I sometimes I feel like though people will kind of enter a victim mindset and they'll try to like self-diagnose themselves with depression, and this is just me kind of judging and being a little judgy, But I've seen, the types of people that they don't want to take the actions to like, turn their life around, or where they just kind of want to be a victim. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like that's a really like stuck place to be.
Right. I think, self-sabotaging behavior is not great. But I don't feel that everyone with depression follows the same victim mentality that you're describing.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying people with depression.
I think that a victim mentality will only ever, create and cultivate more misery.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult to view and have that awareness when you're on the outside of a situation and someone isn't self-aware to see that. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the way that you feel when you see someone who's in that position? It's a little bit uncomfortable to see someone with such a victim mentality when you know that it's not serving them. Yeah.
And I feel like that might contribute to the stigma of depression because like a lot of people because when somebody is in victim mindset, a lot of people don't want to really be around them, because it like kind of ruins their vibe a little bit, and that's selfish. But so then it almost contributes to that stigma where people with depression are just like unbearable to be around or something,
I think that believing that, I'm depressed, so that means that, it's tattooed on me that this is the way it is, or that I don't need to put effort, it was really hard to get out of bed because I'm depressed, so that's why. That's going to be really difficult to pay attention to, and to at some point in a friendship, maybe even feel like you're enabling that person in that perspective. If it's someone that you interact with more, that's a difficult thing to have to watch. I would encourage you, if that's a mindset that you've had, to take an action step, even if that means being curious about what your treatment options are. It doesn't mean like learning. I think some great advice: when you're feeling really frozen, remember that learning a little bit about something does not mean that you are making a decision to take an action step. Because I think that people can feel really frozen in this, what if I do this? What if I do that? Overthinking it, or just minimizing the problem so that they can distract themselves and disassociate through video games or whatever it might be. And pause for a moment and just say, step one, I could just figure out what my options are. That doesn't mean that I'm taking a next step if that feels overwhelming to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is a healthy mindset to have. And I'm not sure, when people are getting a diagnosis of depression, always what that conversation looks like with their therapist or with their medical provider. And that's an important piece as well. Like, if it wasn't explained to them that this is a treatable thing, this isn't something that is stamped on your forehead. There are lots of different things that can change, and not just jumping to a medication either. Lifestyle changes can have a huge impact on someone's mental health and should be the first thing that you're thinking of, especially like, what is it that my body needs and my brain needs that I'm not giving it? Probably not giving it enough mindful rest and like pauses that are distraction free. Yeah. You're probably not giving it enough time in nature, or enough quality sleep, or water, or like nutrients, or physical activity. Like, what are the things like within your control there? And then what are my treatment options? What are the therapeutic options? Who can I build a strong therapeutic relationship with? Because it's really the trust and the comfort you have with a therapist that allows you to really like get real and stop hiding from your bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. So I have this fresh thought as you were speaking. Would you say it's fair to say that a lot of times depression can be like just the result of like a life out of control, or like a life with no clear direction?
There can be a lot of reasons. Yeah, surely that's one of them. I think it's hard to say that's
it's the reason.
Right. Yeah. I can't say that. But yeah, I feel that, yeah, like what's my purpose in life? That's kind of a thought that like some existential thoughts. What's the meaning to life? Why am I here? What's the point? It's easy to kind of start going down this rabbit hole. And if you're not, in the mindset of really taking the bigger step back and able to see your positive qualities or have intention in your life for what you're wanting to cultivate. I think sometimes it's a loss of intention. I'm just bumping around, like paying attention to my impulses to, whatever it is that you're jumping to that feels like it's just scratching that itch and isn't necessarily adding substance to your life.
Yeah.
Like it's going to catch up. You've got to start actually caring about the person that you want to be and cultivating in that direction instead of letting life happen by accident.
Yeah. Well, and because when you were talking about, being intentional. It reminded me of this Jim Carrey quote where he says, basically, if you like exercise, eat well, are hydrated, read a book, meditate, all that stuff, like it's not going to cure your depression, but it'll give you a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, that's where you should start, or that's where I've noticed when I am dialed in like that in the beginning of the day, then I have much more mental clarity. I'm still not through my depression, but then I noticed that what kind of delivered me out of like that depression season was that intentionality of like, who I wanted to be in a year. And so then I'm aiming myself toward a destination while like fueling myself with
I'm a work in progress. Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, every day I'm going to like do these actions to put me in the best like mental state possible. And then that will compel me forward to my destination. And so it's like those two elements, like beginning and end.
Yeah.
I feel like that is, that's like the discipline that will probably deliver most people.
It's reminding me of another story that I think we talked about when we were discussing like dating or heartbreak in a past episode, where there's a friend of mine and they're like saying they really want a meaningful relationship. Like it's hard to see other people moving on and like they're wanting that. So I had this friend and he was really wanting this deep and meaningful relationship and feeling like we were like other people in the friend group have moved on into that phase of life.
You wanted a relationship with you?
No, just with a person. I can see, I guess you're right. Should have clarified. In general, in his life, he would like that with someone. It's a special someone. But like you're still going to the same dingy bars. You're still hanging around with like other people who are also single and not looking for that, and they're looking for something more casual. You're not like, or you're spending a lot of time alone and not leaving your house where you're not going to meet anybody. So in the same kind of perspective where you can see that isn't going to yield you new results or better results or find you the kind of quality partner that you're really hoping to find.
Yeah.
If you continue to just like stay isolated in your home and not adopt new habits, it's going to be difficult to pull your way out of that. But there is a depression that can get so deep that any kind of action step feels difficult.
Yeah.
And that is perhaps a different level of depression than what you experienced, although I'm not minimizing your experience.
Yeah.
And in that case, we should look at what kind of medication options or alternative therapies are available to treat depression, and definitely make sure to get that person a therapist that they really trust and feel connected with.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. But yeah, no, what is that one saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results, which is not the definition of insanity, but it's a catchy little phrase.
But I think part of depression, and maybe part of like fully saying goodbye to single, I don't know if there's still more connections to that line of thinking, but part of saying goodbye to depression anyways is almost like an addiction, having to say goodbye then to perhaps some of the habits that you've been hanging on to that have felt comforting but have held you back.
Yeah. Well, okay, so in just speaking in my own experience again, my season of depression was self-sabotage because I remember just being so like deeply depressed because like life had fallen apart, everything. And I was just like, okay, well now I'm going to sit and just watch my life fall apart and crumble. And I noticed, and when I started learning about self-sabotage, it's like the same thing. Like self-sabotage is not you deliberately tearing your life down. It's more just like taking your foot off the gas and just letting life sort of erode. And, you know, all the effort that you were putting in life, you stop, and all the things that require effort fall apart.
Yeah, life, it requires momentum.
Yeah, but then when you are depressed and you give up, and then things actually do start falling apart, it just adds to your depression, and then you're in this really, really awful place.
Right. And you're in this rut.
Yeah, so then I can see why people would become like addictive to like a quick delivery of a drug or alcohol. And I kind of started getting into alcoholism back then, but it
ends up being then more of a depressant too. Yeah, the alcohol, where the next day it is. I mean, it's a downer.
Right.
It's not an upper. Not that I'm promoting uppers either, but it's people who've had a lot of trauma as well can be more prone to those things because there's already pain that they're trying to hide. There's already if they got a message that to them their caregiver wasn't there or that they weren't worthy or valuable, there's still a feeling of that inside that they're wanting to numb. And that isn't everyone who's had childhood trauma and what their takeaway is, but that's just an example of what that can feel like while they're interacting with the world. And if that's the lens that you see, you also find examples that aren't actually there to believe that, like that you think that your kids are going to reject you when they really want to connect with you.
Yeah, that's such a good point. You know what's funny? Sorry, totally rabbit trail. It's connected. But yes, so I call my kids just about every single night, and I ask them each one, hey, how was your day? Good. And they always like, they don't really open up. And I say, did you do anything fun? They say no. And I say, is there anything you want to talk about? They say no. So that's been the situation for like months. But then last night, my youngest, I said, is there anything you want to talk about? He said, yes. And that was the first time any of them said yes. And then he's like, I love chicken and dumplings. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was telling me about chicken and dumplings. And I was just like, that's awesome, buddy. That, I was so excited that he actually wanted to talk to me. So yeah, that was a little win last night.
That is a win. Mm-hmm. I want you to try some other questions with them that are open-ended, because that puts a little bit of pressure on a kiddo to have to really like think through their day.
Yeah, true.
Right. But this is something I had to help Zach with too, because we have phone calls with Oakley to stay in touch for the majority of the year. Really, that's our main mode of contact. So I'll say things like, what's one thing you learned today?
Okay.
Or what's one thing you're grateful for today?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll ask silly questions that have nothing to do with their day. And I'll say, if you had any superpower, what superpower would it be? Or if you could snap your fingers and travel anywhere right now, where would you want to go on vacation? So maybe you should like have some pre-thought questions. Yeah. I'm sure there's like a calendar somewhere too that would give you like good daily ones. But I think that, even Halloween is coming up. So I don't know if they already know what they're going to be for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
But give questions that have an open-ended answer option, not a yes or no, and see what comes up.
That's a great idea. Okay, I'm going to try that. A question new question every day. Yeah. Or
would you rather? Those could be fun too.
Okay.
Kinds of questions.
Well, it used to be when I would call them, they would just straight up say, Daddy, I don't want to talk to you. And then I kind of like when I would have them, I'm like, guys, I'll make it easy for you. Here's the questions I'm going to ask you. And so I've been really consistent with that for like a few months now. And so, but yeah, now maybe it's time to like take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And then keep like pressing into that. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like you'll find some funny ones. Kids will have a great time, or like have a joke book.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
I like that. Okay, we're getting to the end. I feel like the last of the points that I want us to break down is that people with depression are always visibly sad.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
I know people who are very highly capable, high functioning, and have so much heaviness and depression that they carry.
Well, that's why like nobody really sees like a suicide coming. They always say, but he seems so happy, or and it's like, but they're probably like fighting their demons in private. But no, that's so not true.
Yeah, that it's not. There's definitely things that we can pick up on as a friend, or as just in the people that we interact with, but that doesn't always mean that someone is depressed.
Yeah.
So some of the benchmarks would be, like you said, like withdrawing. We've talked about that. So if your friend is all of a sudden not coming out, canceling plans a lot.
Yeah.
If you somehow notice that they've been sleeping more, they can continually say that they're having issues with their sleep. They're not maybe maintaining proper hygiene as well or something. These are all some things that we could pick up on that someone's not doing well. But what if your friend is actually like holding it together by, they're going to work, they're getting dressed, they're able to go through the motions. It might look more subtle.
Yeah.
It might be low energy. It might be like picking up in what they start sharing.
Well, the fact that like they're physically present around you is a huge victory for them, because the fact that they show up physically is a huge victory for them daily, because I remember like not wanting to get dressed, and then one day I decided I'm going to start like dressing nicely again, and that made me feel better. But it's, I don't know, like, would you say that how would you kind of cultivate that, or like draw out of somebody like with their struggles, because like we want to create a space for vulnerability with all the people in our lives, right? But not everybody feels comfortable with that. But I mean, you have to feel out the person that you're talking to, but I often think I like being as direct and clear as possible. So just to be able to say, hey, I know that there's a lot going on in your life right now, so I just wanted to check in. Yeah.
How are you doing? Like, really, can we be real right now and tell me how you're doing? Sometimes just being able to kind of set the platform and set the stage for being genuine and genuinely caring, that can be enough to really let someone open up. And sometimes you have to be able to say, hey, these are the things that I've noticed that feel like concerns to me. I'm concerned that you're experiencing some depression, and I really want to understand how you've been feeling, because I think that we might need to get you some help. Sometimes you might need to kind of lead them to the water and like help them realize that there's signs that you're noticing. Yeah.
Well, and you are the person that people typically would just pay to see when they're feeling depression anyway. So, so you probably get a lot of people in your life that open up.
Yeah, I mean, that they'll tell me, yeah. But I think that it is really difficult to always pay attention, or to, I don't know, the people that we see consistently during the day. It's hard to tell if your friends or your loved ones are experiencing depression. That's why it's good to check in on them.
Yeah, I'm about to reference Ted Lasso, but
gearing up.
Yeah, gold,
warning,
dollar signs.
Warning.
No, the best example I can think of with like that culture of like vulnerability is, the Diamond Dogs. How it's like these dudes, a couple of them are like pretty hardened, like Roy, and then but it's like they know that they can just like come in and talk about anything, and it's going to be like embraced, and they're going to all be excited to close the door and have their, their little sessions. So yeah, that's what I love. Like, and I know that like my friends will like it. There's that level of everything's okay. Anything can be presented. We'll talk about anything. So maybe it's more like just modeling for everyone to see. Like I'm gonna be vulnerable.
Well, part of it is in the conversation that we're having is don't be the friend that says it's all in your head, or that you can just shake it off, or like that's weak, or you can snap out of it. Part of it is how do you, like, with this information, if there's someone that you're really concerned about, the best approach is going to be to show them some empathy and to try to understand and provide resources.
Curiosity and compassion.
If someone does, I think a lot of people have experienced someone who is really dismissive about depression, or who says and uses some of this phrasing around it. That's immediately putting up a wall. So that's not going to ever incline that person to be more honest with you. And maybe these are good points for parents too, if they've never experienced depression and their child is having a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been told over the years, like, just don't think about it. It's like, I would like to stop thinking about it.
Oh my gosh, right? Someone who's depressed, they wouldn't give to have a break from the hell that's going on in their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad advice. Just stop thinking, just cut it out.
Knock that off. This guy over here. Yeah. Not helpful. Try to be helpful. And maybe it's, if that's a difficult perspective, understand that you just might not understand. At least get that what this person is experiencing is outside of what you've experienced. And sometimes just saying, I'm sorry that I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you, or I want to understand. Or, right?
Tell me more, help me understand.
I mean, be humble about it, and usually that's really well appreciated. At least you're not guessing and saying something that's actually insensitive.
Yeah.
But that's what we got for today, folks.
Way to bring that full circle, by the way. That was brilliant. Yeah, no, this has been, every time I sit with you and we record, it's like therapy for me. So, like, I just want you to know that these last 37 recordings 37. Have been, somewhere around there.
More than half a year, though.
Yeah, have been life-changing for me.
Oh.
So, yeah, I appreciate you.
Should we change it to Therapize James?
No, I don't want you guys to think it's all about me. But, no, yeah, I came in feeling frustrated, and now I feel better. So... Anyway. Yay,
I like that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Remember that we would love to give you advice. Today, I feel like you were the person we gave advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kiddo advice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But we would love to hear from you in giving us advice on reviews or just interacting on social media. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast episode, especially if it's, to someone that you think could have a better understanding of depression. We'll be doing this October series, so there'll be a couple more episodes about the blues, the depressive
blues.
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.